Hello, greetings. My name is Tom Venditti, and I am a former seminarian for the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, sponsored by Father John McFadden, Catholic priest, friend, and I was at St. Charles Borromeo Seminary in the early 1990s, and at the time, Monsignor Lynne was the rector at the seminary, and there was Father Della Carpini who was there, and there were a number of priests who were eventually outed, exposed through the Pennsylvania, the district attorney's office, and the grand jury report. And I was there. I'm not gay, okay, and I'm not a pedophile, okay. So I was there as a straight heterosexual Catholic man who was very seriously considering the priesthood. I had graduated from Franciscan University of Steubenville with a bachelor's degree in theology, and after contemplating perhaps the Franciscans, I ended up going to Regent University, getting my master's degree in biblical studies. After working a year after graduation full-time pro-life, I entered the seminary, and I was with a number of really good guys, including Father Joe Coffey, and you know, there are other seminarians who are no longer seminarians either. A number of us actually left. Bob Lacey, Jim Tortorisi, Steve Durkee, myself, a number of the pro-life guys left and got married. And so anyway, we know Monsignor Lynne ended up getting jail time, even though he never molested anybody. He was shuffling guys around under the direction of Cardinal Bevilacqua, right? So really it should have been Cardinal Bevilacqua that went to prison, but Cardinal Bevilacqua, before the trial, died, right? Okay. God rest his soul, right? Cardinal Bevilacqua. Now, Monsignor Lynne was the typical guy who wanted to climb the ladder of church success, honestly. This was my impression of him from day one. He always did things according to the letter. You know, you weren't going to see him make any exceptions or anything like that. But I mean, he was friendly, he smiled all the time, but clearly was a guy that was playing by the book. Why was he playing by the book? Because he had aspirations, I guess, of becoming a bishop, whatever, you know, really talented guy. So he's taking orders from Cardinal Bevilacqua and basically not taking the pedophilia situation seriously enough to do anything about it, other than just go along with whatever Cardinal Bevilacqua was telling him to do. So this was the tone at the seminary, okay? So these guys were what? What were they? They were obedient. They were obedient priests who were following orders. Is that virtuous? Well, that's what they taught us was virtuous, is that you obey the rules and then good things will happen to you, because obedience in Catholic circles means virtue, and they always point to saints who were obedient, who were being abused, mistreated, imprisoned, and because they were obedient, you know, something good came out of it. Well, maybe something good could have come out of it if they weren't obedient too, you know. So I don't necessarily think that's the case. Like, you just have to obey people who are covering up for pedophiles. I really don't. So the reason I'm making this video is because this is an untold story. And just from my perspective as a heterosexual man who I had already previously encountered a priest who was a predator, who had come on to me, and I was 18, okay, so technically I wasn't a minor, but I was extremely vulnerable, right, going into this Catholic Newman Center at Trenton State College, and Father Inglaterra coming on to me in his own private office, and I resisted and moved on, okay? Now, everything has blown up, right, and it's just unbelievable how everywhere I went, there was this. So Philadelphia was the first, I think even before Boston, to get exposed as covering up for pedophilia. Cardinal Bevilacqua died, right? So, you know, I think there's a lot of untold stories there. And Archbishop Chaput seems to be doing a good job. I'm hoping that things have gotten better there. But honestly, when we were in the seminary, there were a number of homosexual men, and I'm not saying they were pedophiles, but I'm just telling you the climate of the seminary. So me and my friends, we played sports together, we played golf, we played tennis, we played football, we played basketball, we went skiing, you know. I mean, trust me, St. Charles Borromeo was like a resort in a lot of ways, you know. Cafeteria-style meals every day, and, you know, you were expected to pray and follow the rules and go to class and all this kind of stuff. And we even did some pro-life outreach at local abortion clinics. Saw our families on certain occasions, but pretty much it was a, you know, it was private, you know, and then some people would join us for evening prayers and things like that from the public. But for the most part, it was a private guys club. There's no question about it. And so anyway, I was into it because I had some friends there, and except we were having a good time. We were playing intramural sports, and we were getting into it. Theology, we would have prayer meetings, guitar, you know, no shortage of prayer, scripture, whatever. It was good, you know. But, you know, I can remember one time wanting to get a leave to go to see a concert, a Yes concert, right? And I was told I couldn't go, right? I was just like a little disappointed. Then another time I was told I couldn't go to a pro-life mass down in Virginia. Okay, there were restrictions there at St. Charles. And so anyway, it's understandable. I'm not really complaining about that. It's understandable. But I'm trying to give you the, it's a strict atmosphere there. It's very strict. And so the question is, like, is strict good? Because behind closed doors, there was all kinds of stuff going on that we have found out. And we have had seminarians who became priests who are gone now because they were engaging in pedophilia activities. And I will say this, that I had a really good friend in the seminary who eventually was ordained, Father Paul Stenson. Father Paul, as a seminarian, he went to the rector and he reported that there was gay activity happening with some of the seminarians, okay? Now, the homosexuals in the seminary were very tight-knit group. They did kind of cling to each other. There's no question about it. And they did tend to really be into the liturgical, dressing the altar, linens, that kind of thing. Seemed to be, you know, what they really enjoyed the most. So, and I'm sure that many of them were, you know, prayerful people. I don't have any doubt about that. So, what we're dealing with here is just you know, the reality of what the seminary was like. And now later, years later, when we find out there was activity happening between priests and seminarians and this kind of stuff, it doesn't surprise me. And Paul, when he reported this, he was the one that was put on like probation as being homophobic. And you know, honestly, he's persevered more than anyone I know, and he's been, as a priest, not even treated with respect and dignity. You know, he was always outspoken. So anyway, God bless Father Paul for taking a stand. I mean, none of us liked it. We all knew what was going on. We would try to be friendly to these guys, but they were very cliquish, and they weren't really interested in evangelization, pro-life work, and they really avoided that. They loved the liturgical stuff. That's what they loved. So now we're in 2018, and we're still trying to clean up the church. And I would say that, you know, anybody who was involved at St. Charles Seminary, if they have information, if there are still priests out there who are pedophiles or who protected pedophiles, I think, you know, they've got to be confronted. Okay, I've recently, through the diocese, made contact with a priest that I know who was involved in pedophilia. So please, guys, let's continue to fight pedophilia in the Catholic Church and in the clergy and those who cover up for pedophilia. We don't want any of them in leadership in our church at all. They don't have the moral courage because they're compromised, and they have got to go. So we're asking for the voluntary resignation of any priest who's been involved in pedophilia actively, internet-wise or covering up-wise, to resign. For the good of the church, for the good of children, please resign. Thank you very much. Check out FCAP on Facebook, Faithful Catholics Against Pedophilia. Brother Tomasio signing off.